what matters most, we bring you more. Stay with us, stay in the loop. Straight talk, clear view, one place for the story, one voice for the truth. Patriot Nation News, PNN, we bring it through. Patriot Nation News, what you need right now for you. Patriot Nation News, hear it loud, clean and true. PNN, PNN, Patriot Nation News. Voices rise, the facts roll in. Every angle, every win. City halls and highway miles. Real lives, real news, real time. Stay with us, stay in the loop. Straight talk, clear view, one place for the story, one voice for the truth. Patriot Nation News, PNN, we bring it through. Patriot Nation News, what you need right now for you. Patriot Nation News, hear it loud, clean and true. PNN, PNN, Patriot Nation News. When the day gets loud, we cut through the crowd. When the feed runs wild, we keep it straight and style. Patriot Nation News, PNN, we bring it through. Patriot Nation News, what you need right now for you. Patriot Nation News, hear it loud, clean and true. PNN, PNN, Patriot Nation News.
All right. Happy Friday, PNN News, Patriot Nation Network News, PNN. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Well, do we have a deal? Well, do we have a deal? Is there a deal going down? We talked about this morning. The president Thursday afternoon from the Oval Office was very hopeful that there would be a deal in the works. This seems to be gaining steam. The Iranians now say that they too have agreed to the wording in the Memorandum of Understanding. This is what they call this deal. There were some early releases that the Iranians allegedly did that the president was not happy with and said they were lies. It was talked about throughout the day that the president had said they could have civilian, personal, nuclear. They have some nuclear plants that could not have a weapon. So we'll see. It's a big weekend. The president turns 80 on Sunday. He's got the big UFC fight. We got a lot of weekend stuff going on. USA is in the World Cup match. And to top it all off, the president will be jetting out on Air Force One to the G7 summit. He has a lot going on. Can he get the deal? This will be the capstone for it. And is it a deal that's worth having? That's the question. There's a lot of controversy about this. Has been since they started. Remember when we early on in the conflict, some call it a war, some call it all kinds of things. We call it war. When you're bombing, it's war. We said, what is the mission statement? What is the mission goals? Mission goals at that time seemed to be to get all the nuclear dust, as the president calls it, and to see regime change was even mentioned, although they were hardcore on that, but to set them back militarily to make sure that they could never get a nuclear bomb and to make sure that the Strait of Hormuz was open. The Memorandum of Understanding, nobody knows exactly what's in it, but all sides seem to have agreed on the wording, will allow them, according to reports, the Iranians to have civilian nuclear energy. There'll be a lot of things written in there, I'm sure, about inspections and the collection of what is supposedly buried under a mountain uranium. Who knows? The Iranians can come out of this and claim, even though they got kicked pretty hard, that they're still standing, as Elton John sang about, and that they stood up to the big Americans, and they're still there. The RGC, although much defeated, still has a lot of members. So the question will be, how close? Some say as quickly as the end of the weekend or the first of the week could a deal be done. But I'm cautious. When you get to this, constantly the Iranians play this game. It's not the first time they did it. They did it with President Obama as well. They go to a line, you push them to a line, then they say, hold on, we may have a deal. And then they don't agree to it. Then you push on, and they just keep pushing for more, and they wear you out. The president has grown weary of them in the last few days. It is said, very angry at them, and you can see the outbursts that are occurring. So something must move. So will this deal be considered a success or no? Some will say yes, because we set them back in their nuclear program, and undoubtedly we did that. Yes, that we defeated or destroyed, eliminated, neutralized over 100 leaders of the terroristic regime, took out most of their Navy, except for speedboats, a lot of launchers. I mean, basically decimated their military. It'll take them some time to build back. They still have missiles. They still have drones. They still have capabilities. So will this be as successful or not? Newsmax is reporting that he set his expectations higher for the coming days. He announced Thursday that U.S. and Iran could come to terms this weekend on an agreement that would set the pathway to end the 3-month-old conflict. There's been broadly unpopular with Americans as route of global oil markets. He said he plans to dispatch Vice President J.D. Vance to the signing of the agreement. So we'll see. Planes are loaded for the G7. J.D. Vance is loaded up and ready to go sign an agreement. Will it happen? I don't know. I think all of us, or most of us, probably saw the attempt for the beheading over in Europe. Europe is in trouble, has been for some time. Small towns are terrorized by those who have walked over the borders. Young girls, kids, women, everybody being attacked. Crime is rampant. There's a story today that Mississippi is richer than the UK. Now, that's incredible. Europe's number 2 economy trails America's poorest state. Recently, the article goes on to say, a British conservative commentator was exasperated by how poorly the liberal British government has managed the country. That's to say the least. He stated that according to recent data, the UK was poorer than every U.S. state. An in-depth analysis confirms that. Despite being one of the richest countries in Europe, the UK is not only poorer than the United States, but also poorer than Mississippi, the poorest state in the U.S. You remember coming out of, or you may not remember, coming out of the Civil War, or we would say in the southern states, the war between the states, Mississippi was bankrupt. There was so much money expended on the soldiers who were injured, who were coming back for prosthetics. It was just decimated. It was a poor state. They've never recovered from that. Never. The first measure of national wealth is the GDP. U.S. nominal GDP exceeds 32 trillion compared to the UK's 4.6 trillion. The U.S. population is larger at about 340 million versus 69.3 for the United Kingdom. To compensate for differences in population size, economists use GDP per capita. In 2026, U.S. GDP per capita is nearly 95,000, while in the UK, it is only about 53,000 per capita. Another measures of economic scale, income, wealth, housing, transportation, infrastructure, and employment, the U.S. numbers compared to UK's were almost laughable. As a result, it seems logical to compare the UK to the largest U.S. state, California, whose population is just over 39 million, about 43% smaller than the UK's. Other than having a larger population, the UK performed even more poorly against California on most metrics. For example, California's GDP per capita is $104,795. To be fair, the article says California is America's richest state. To avoid making the comparison a complete blowout, it made sense to move down the rankings and compare the UK to America's poorest state, Mississippi. The unemployment rate among Mississippi's 2.5 million, 95 million inhabitants is only about 3.6 to 3.9%, whereas in the UK it is 5%. Mississippi's per capita personal income is about $54,000, marginally higher than that of the UK. Taxes are also lower in Mississippi. The state sales tax is 7%, while the UK's value-added tax, the VAT, is 20%. So consequently, people in Mississippi tend to own more consumer goods. Car ownership figures not even close. There are approximately 757 to 809 vehicles per 1,000 people in Mississippi, compared to only 603 per 1,000 in the UK. In fact, in the UK, it is getting harder for car ownership. They don't want you driving into cities. They're charging more fees, especially in London. And so they want public transportation and try to force people to that. So anyway, homes are much larger in Mississippi, averaging 1,870 to 1,950 square feet. Most Mississippians live in a freestanding home with a yard, while many people in the UK live in apartments or row houses with at best a small garden. They get ready for the 15-minute cities too. The average home size in the UK is only about 818 to 900 square feet. Driving all those cars is a lot cheaper in Mississippi, where the average cost of a gallon of gasoline is $3.89 a gallon, despite the conflict, with the U.S. and Iran. In the UK, by contrast, motorists are paying about $9.66 per gallon. Europeans are fond of portraying Americans, particularly those of the South, as uneducated. We're used to that talk, comparisons. We scoff at it. I'm a college graduate myself. However, there are more educational institutions per capita in Mississippi than in the UK. The UK has 130 higher education institutions, while Mississippi has only 23. This gives Mississippi one higher education institution for about every 128,000 residents, compared to one for about every 533,000 residents in the UK. Also, you're not allowed to go exactly where you want to go. Europe uses these tests to decide what you're going to be in life, and if you want to go if you're going to go to trade school or college, what job you're going to have. They try to map your life in many cases. The swimming pools. In Mississippi, you're also more likely to have a swimming pool. The United Kingdom has only about 250,000 private swimming pools, while roughly 1 in 6 Mississippi residents has access to a private swimming pool. You go Mississippi, you have your swimming pool. Okay, they have much more here, but this article is interesting that these weak European leaders, they're destroying their countries, and the people have had enough of it. From the New York Post, I wanted to, by the way, early voting is ended today in Georgia. There is Tuesday will be the runoffs, and so we'll be voting. I didn't get a chance to go today. All right, you may have heard about this. The Texas Republican Party gathering. They had an elephant in the room. It relieved itself as it strode through the Assembly Hall. Governor Greg Abbott had just finished his keynote at the Texas GOP convention in Houston. Hang on here a second. When a 9-foot-tall, nearly 9,000-pound African elephant made a surprise entrance, Page promptly urinated in the aisle between the press area and state delegates, according to several reporters who posted video of the incident on social media. And let me tell you, she has a good stream going. There's a picture of it right under an Abbott sign. The elephant urinated in an aisle between the press and Texas delegates. Oh, shoot, a stunned onlooker cried as the elephant widened her stance and emptied her tank, while Brooks and Dunn's Only in America blared in the background. An African adult elephant can void up to 3 gallons of urine in a single session. After what seemed like that amount of pee cascaded onto the convention floor, Paige nonchalantly went on her way. She, led by her handlers. The elephant was adorned in red, white, and blue regalia and draped in a banner bearing Abbott's campaign slogan, "Unity drives victory." Paige, who lives in East Texas, lives at the East Texas Elephant Experience in Cut and Shoot, Texas, was brought to U.S. in the mid-'80s as an orphan, according to her bio. She is the biggest of the facility's three. Sometimes you just have to laugh at the goings-on that happen. It seems as though we know that Tucker Carlson seems to have went off the rails, and many are applauding him for his stance against Trump and Israel. Take it for what you may. Feel how about it? I don't care. But he's come out with an article where he says that Dan Bongino, while he was soon to leave his position, was in hysteria in saying that the president forced the ending of the investigation into Butler, Pennsylvania, the assassination attempt. It just doesn't sound credible. Not that Bongino couldn't get in hysterical. I'm not saying that. He said he likes him. He's a friend. But he was scared. And it just, why would you tell that while you're still in? I don't believe it. I don't believe that he said that like that. But anyway, it's articles out there. A lot of people are going to run with it for sure. I'm going to throw that in there. So we'll see. A judge has ordered the return of removed historic displays today. A federal judge ordered the Trump administration to reinstall exhibits and signs touching on topics like slavery and climate change that it had removed from parks and monuments nationwide that do not align with its preferred narrative. U.S. District Judge Angel Kelly in Boston issued a preliminary injunction at the behest of groups representing park conservationists, historians, and scientists who argued that the U.S. Department of the Interior had been engaged in a sustained campaign to erase history and undermine science. The president has took some losses lately. He's been ordered to, his name to come off of the Kennedy Center. They tried to stop that. They also rejected that. Now he's the money, J6 money, and a couple other things. He has taken some hits. So we'll see. In the Western Journal, by an article by Randy DeSoto, says that President Trump said this week that the federal government might have to take over Washington, D.C. if the Democratic Socialist candidate currently leading in polling wins the race for city mayor, highly controversial. A White House reporter on Thursday told Trump that candidate Janice Lewis George, currently a Democratic member of the D.C. City Council, is running his Oron Mandami campaign focused on socialist policies. Quote, how would you feel if she emerges victorious in next Tuesday's primary? End quote, the reporter asked. The president, quote, I wouldn't like it. And maybe we take back Washington and run it on the federal basis. We won't put up with it. We're not going to lose our businesses, end quote, Trump responded. Mandami's short tenure as mayor has been marked by openly socialist rhetoric. He slams rugged individualism and lulls the warmth of collectivism. He's made hostility toward big business the financial lifeblood of the Big Apple, a hallmark of his time in office. So we'll see. Strong words. The second, after the midterms, it's going to get rocky. I have no doubt about that. Going back, I wanted to go over to the Gateway Pundit and the article I wanted to read there. Let's see. What did I? Hang on. That's not what I wanted. Hang on. Oh, here it is. By Jim Hoft of the Gateway Pundit, posted earlier today. FBI raids Ohio Democrat ballot harvesting group's headquarters. This follows thousands of suspect registrations in 24 election. The FBI raided the Cleveland headquarters of the Ohio Collaborative, or Organizing Collaborative, OOC, on Thursday as part of an ongoing federal investigation into suspected ballot harvesting and voter fraud operations in the key swing state of Ohio. Agents also fanned out across the state, showing up at the homes of OOC leaders, staff members, volunteers, and connected community organizers in places like Columbus, Dayton, and Cincinnati. Didn't come to your hometown, Dusty, but they're getting there. They serve subpoenas, seized electronic devices, and questioned people directly about voter fraud. The OCC represents itself as a pro-democracy voter registration nonprofit focused on underrepresented communities. In reality, it functions as a Democrat-aligned operation deeply embedded in progressive get-out-the-vote efforts across Ohio's major cities. Let's see here. The FBI, the OOC Collaborative Board member Prentice Haney said FBI agents came to the organization's Cleveland office yesterday. He said agents have found out and questioned people who work with the organization. Haney told agents, or said agents have searched and sometimes taken laptops and electronic devices, as well as interviewed people who work with the organization. This is not normal business. I mean, there's no reason for over 100 agents to be knocking on the doors of everyday Ohioans, Haney said, demanding and accusing people of voter fraud as if it was a witch hunt and scaring them with the children following them in the cars and to school and to work. I mean, this was a full-out assault. I mean, we haven't seen anything like this since Selma. Here comes the racism. And so this was completely politically motivated. The OOC has documented the history of voter registration fraud. In 2017, paid canvasser Rebecca Hammonds, who worked directly for the group, pleaded guilty to multiple counts of falsely registering people to vote and forging signatures on voter registration forms. She was sentenced to 6 months in jail. Some of the fraudulent registrations were even submitted for dead people. Not surprised. We've seen this before, right? The Gateway Pundit has been leading the nation on our reporting on the illegal Democrat ballot harvesting operations. So, and this goes along with all the fraud that's being uncovered in the social services, Medicare being among one of the largest, and the billions and billions of dollars that's just been giving out across the country. It's horrible, the shape of our nation. It's absolutely horrible. Let me see here. I thought there was something else here I wanted to look at really quick. Canada sometimes doesn't make sense, but with the World Cup going on, there's a lot of attention. The Canada reportedly is exercising the basic customs duties of a country. And today, we learned that the Arsenal Atlético de Madrid international player Tomas Partey had his visa application for Canada rejected. This will make him unable to play in Ghana's World Cup first game on Wednesday. FIFA can confirm that player Thomas Partey will be unable to travel from Ghana's team base camp in Boston, USA to Canada for their first match against Panama on Wednesday. His visa application has been refused by the Canadian government. FIFA is not involved in the immigration processes of host countries, including visas. With previous FIFA events, the host government ultimately determines who receives visas and is admitted into the country. Sky News is reporting a reason wasn't given by FIFA, but the former Arsenal player is awaiting trial in London after pleading not guilty to multiple counts of rape. Ghana plays Panama on Wednesday in Toronto in the same group as England. The game against the Three Lions is in the Boston area, and Partey has already been in the U.S. with the rest of the team. The 32-year-old who faces trial on 7 counts of rape and 1 of sexual assault at Southwark Crown Court had his visa application rejected by Canadian authorities. Ghana's tournament begins in Toronto on June 17th, but he will be forced to watch from afar. He arrived in the United States with his national team on June 4th and has been training at the Rhode Island base camp ahead of the competition. Metropolitan Police initially charged Partey party, with 5 counts of rape, 1 count of sexual assault in July 2025, relating to alleged offenses against 3 women between 21 and 22. So there you go. They said they're not going to let him in, but we do. So is it political? Is it some other reason? Or is it just because of the charges? We have no problem putting him in the country. But they said no. And I don't know if you saw it. There was, or heard about it. I'm sure you probably did. There was this article. I'm trying to remember where I saw that at. I may have to take a break and come back with it. There was an attempt to stop the White House UFC event. A federal judge today refused to stop the White House from staging the event to celebrate the nation's 250th anniversary on President Donald Trump's 80th birthday. It's kind of wild to say that 80th birthday. The U.S. District Judge, Amit Mehta's ruling allows organizers to use the White House lawn as the venue for Sunday's planned UFC mixed martial arts event. The judge concluded that the plaintiffs likely don't have legal standing to challenge the event and have failed to prove that they would suffer irreparable harm by the event going forward as planned. The judge also cited the plaintiffs' unreasonable delay in suing to challenge an event that's been in the works for months. Quote, in the context of an emergency application and coupled with the fact that UFC fight date was known long ago, it is fair to say that the plaintiff unreasonably delayed bringing suit, undercutting their claims of irreparable harm, the judge wrote. Attorneys from the nonprofit Public Integrity Project sued to challenge the event on behalf of an activist and a Vietnam War veteran. The 2 plaintiffs also asked the court to block organizers from building anything for the event on White House grounds, including a 92-foot tall, 600-ton steel structure called the Claw, as we know. They allege aesthetic harms. The judge noted that they are temporary since the Claw will be disassembled starting Monday, and staging equipment for the Lincoln Memorial must be removed before then. The president's musings about permanency of the Claw does not move the dial in the face of White House officials. Clear representation, the judge wrote. So anyway, the fight goes on. The 80th birthday celebration of the president, White House lawn, much to the chagrin of many who hate him and hate that. There is a poll out among evangelicals. This is interesting. You know, we all know that evangelicals don't always agree. We certainly don't. In this article posted today, about half of the evangelical Christians, a core component of President Trump's base, believe his administration's approach to the Iran war and immigration enforcement is not in line with their understanding of Christianity, a Reuters poll found. Evangelicals helped power Trump's 24 victory, and the president and his top officials, including War Secretary Pete Hegseth, have regularly used religious language in describing their goals and policies. Republicans will be counting them again, of course, for the midterm. So 54% of evangelicals in this June 3rd through 8th poll said Trump's use of the military in Iran was not in line with their understanding of Christianity, while 41% said it was. About 51% of evangelicals said the administration's approach to immigration policy was not in line with Christian values, with 44% saying it was not. When they say evangelicals, this is a wide spectrum. It's a lot of different types of faiths and denominations. Overall, Trump's approval rating among evangelicals stood at 52% in the latest poll, down from 61% in August, but well above his 35% approval rating among all U.S. adults. His approval rating has broadly fallen in recent months as the unpopular Iran war pushed gasoline prices sharply higher. They have dropped some. I paid $3.58. $3.53. Well, they charge you for the card. It would have been $3.50. No, it would have been $3.48. So it was $3.54. I think it was. So anyway, it has dropped because we were nearing $4 a gallon. Still not bad considering what the averages were across the country, but it has dropped. So anyway, evangelicals in particular skew Republican by more than 2 to 1 And Trump won the evangelical vote 81% to 16% in 24, according to exit polls analysis by the Pew Research Center. White House spokesman Taylor Rogers said Trump has delivered to people of faith by defending religious rights and pardoning anti-abortion activists convicted of crimes. There has never been a greater president for Christian Americans than President Trump, this according to White House spokesman Taylor Rogers. Cracks in the key voting bloc could add to the headwinds facing the Republican Party in the midterm elections, soon to be here. Evangelical Christian Sandy Miller, 63, said she wouldn't vote for him again if she had the opportunity. She lives in Worthington, Indiana, a small town of roughly 1,400 people, and takes care of her 24-year-old daughter whose home health care Medicaid benefits were cut under Trump. But more than her financial situation, she said her faith influences who she votes for. She said that Trump is probably a Christian, but doesn't show it. I just don't think waging war is the answer to everything all the time. I understand sometimes you have to, but I don't know in this instance that it needed to be done. Miller said she prays every night that the country's leaders will seek God's will. Amen. That is a prayer that I have. I wish our politicians would pray more than they talk. Amen, sister. The Reuters poll surveyed 4,531 U.S. adults nationwide with a error of 2 percentage points in either direction. Evangelicals also give Trump low marks on his handling of the cost of living. The U.S. and Israel began the war on February 28th, and we are still at it today, even though there's a cessation of hostilities right now as we await a deal. So anyway, you're going to find a lot of people with different beliefs. One more, Connie Reese, 77, an evangelical voter who lives in Iowa, said in a follow-up interview with Reuters that his support for Trump's war in Iran has biblical precedent and that governments have the right to preemptively defend themselves. Although he said he doesn't always agree with the government of Israel, the Jewish people have historical grounds for their homeland. The reestablishment of Israel, the country, is a prophetic answer or an answer to a prophecy that is clearly spelled out in the Word of God. So in that regard, I support Israel as a free and sovereign nation. I think this is the crux. A lot of people tend to take it and you get stuck into one category. And I have never said that. This is the lie that's told, that evangelicals, the Christians, that they defend the government of Israel's right to do anything they want to do because of their belief of the Word of God's support of Israel. That's not true. I don't know of any Christian that's ever said that the government of Israel is Christian. We've never said that. We know they're not. In fact, they're just as foul or fouler than the government we have here in the United States, except for those who are Christian and trying to do the right things. We do say, however, much the way he put it is that there is those scriptures, and there was to be the reestablishment of the nation of Israel, and there was May 14th, 1948, and the various wars that have been waged against them. And Israel has defeated every single enemy that has came their way. And we know the future. We know a lot of it. We don't know every piece, but we know there's a lot more to come. It's not going to be peace right now. It'll be a false peace to come. But it's interesting. And again, you're evangelicals, you're going to have some very liberally evangelical to some very hardcore conservative and all levels in the middle. But it's interesting. The numbers are still pretty strong. And might I say this, that all people should pray. And, a lot of people think I can't move a government. I can vote. I can call, text, send letters. I can show up at capitals, press conferences and meet and greets. And I've done basically all those things. But moving the needle in a profound way, it'll come through prayer. And the change, we can't legislate morality. We know that. And our country is descending in a demonic cesspool. I mean, that's the nicest way that I can put it. But I don't really like polls too much, but I think that was probably pretty fair. And I believe that they nailed it. And I think, and just listening to people in even my own church, what they have to say about certain things, they're not far apart, but there are differences. And some people see things a little different. Let me get to this story real quick. The U.S. Post Office is proposing a new rule of delivering mail ballots. They have a proposed rule aimed at strengthening election security and It's drawing illegal challenges from Democrat attorney generals and voting rights groups ahead of 26 midterms. The proposal, released last week for public comment, would require states to provide voter information that the Postal Service would use to verify election mail before it enters the postal system. States that refuse to comply could risk losing access to the United States Post Office delivery of mail ballots. The rule follows President Trump's March executive order directing federal agencies to take steps to improve election integrity and voter eligibility verification. Democrat officials argue the proposal would interfere with state-run elections and impose costly administrative burdens. Quote, it's just difficult to overstate the disruption that this will cause to election administration, Michael Cohen, California's Deputy Attorney General, told the New York Times on behalf of a coalition of Democrat-led states. Supporters say the measure is part of a broader effort to restore confidence in elections and ensure ballots are cast only by eligible voters. The proposal has also reportedly sparked debate over the Postal Service's role in election administration. A former member of the Postal Service Board said it amounts to political interference with the United States Postal Service, which by law is supposed to be independent. The proposed rule is currently open for a 30-day comment period, with a final version expected by the end of July. This is pretty big. It's pretty serious. Democrats have filed multiple lawsuits challenging Trump's election-related executive order, but a U.S. District Judge Carl J. Nichols ruled in May that many of those challenges were premature because key portions of the order had not yet been implemented. Quote, the court recognizes the Postal Service may ultimately issue a final rule that directly affects plaintiffs or their members, Nichols wrote, adding that challengers could return to court if future actions cause harm. Justice Department attorneys defended the administration's actions while acknowledging that implementation details are still being developed. You know, this is a lot to throw out at this time of year, this close to an election. And I would just say personally, I rarely side with Democrats. I don't like it. And I will tell you that the problem is not the Postal Service. It's a federal agency. I mean, they're really independent. I don't know. They're really not, but they are. I mean, you know, it's a weird makeup. As having worked, I took a break due to the death of my wife, but being a poll worker and co-manager of my precinct and work with, if your county runs everything the way they're supposed to, there'd be no problems. We don't have a problem in our county. And, you know, I still have here, you know, my wife passed away 6 weeks ago. Within a week and a half, I had the letter in my mailbox. And in fact, it was a week and a half. I don't even think it was a full week that they'd already sent me that my wife had been removed from the voter roll due to two sources: the Social Security Death Index, the death list. I mean, that's what they call it. And then also, I think the Secretary of State's office, as it's announced to these agencies that there's been someone to pass away, it gave me her number, her voter registration number, all that had been removed. I had, in her declining health, for the first time, we had never done it. I was getting her, an absentee ballot because she was, going downhill for elections before that. And then that's since passed. So if your state and your county, well, Lord knows we have problems in Georgia, around Atlanta, but most counties don't have a problem with this and they do a good job with it. I don't know that I want the post office involved. That's just me off a cursory look at this. I saw the headline this morning, haven't really delved into it too much. I don't know what you may think about that, but that one seems to be a little askew for me. And I maybe I'm wrong, and I'm for transparency. I'm for investigation, all those things to look into it, because we've had problems. The big problem in Georgia, the voter rolls have been getting cleaned up, but the problem has been that those that went out of the state and voted back into the state when they weren't allowed to, that was also skewed some elections. There's issues. There's issues in Fulton County. We know it. We see it. It happens every election, and a couple other counties. But I can tell you, I'm very pleased. I joined the elections to do my part as an American citizen, to see how it worked on the other side, and to, yes, just ensure that what I saw, that it was, being. I came away completely impressed. The level of, and I help with the paperwork, part of my job, usually when I'm helping. Like I said, I took a break. I'll be going back. I'm not sure when, if it'll be this year or wait until next year. but I can tell you that it's pretty intense. And once you get used to it, I mean, it's not like you're allowed to make errors. You cannot, and everything is handled truly by board. Now, I won't say that a lot Dominion machines, but I will tell you among people who work in the elections in Georgia, all the ones that I've talked to who have been doing it for a long time and did paper ballots versus Dominion, I hate to tell you this, but they'd rather use Dominion. And the reason is because it's so cumbersome to deal with paper ballots. And it's just so much faster. And it does speed things up. But there's still a counting of ballots. There's still a review of all those ballots and everything that goes in the scanners. All that still happens. So it's just not done that night. We collect them. We tag them. We secure them. All those things. They all go back to the precinct to carry all that stuff down. Anyway, get out and vote. Be registered to vote. Midterms are coming, and we need to be ready. And some have already had them and are going to be having more for runoffs that are occurring. I wanted to go back and Mr. DeSantis, soon to be former governor of Florida. See if I can find that article. I may have ran past it. Here it is. Governor Ron DeSantis, Florida. He believes the state GOP should be holding a gubernatorial debate ahead of its Sunshine State Showdown gathering later this month. The Florida Republican Party said a debate will be held because Representative Byron Donalds of Florida is the only candidate to meet internal qualifications criteria based on polls and fundraising. Other candidates include Lieutenant Jay Collins, House Speaker Paul Renner, and James Fishback. There should be a debate. They said there would be a debate. DeSantis said at an unrelated press conference, quote, having an open process and having people able to have their say is always better than trying to engineer an outcome. What DeSantis goes on to say, what the party should be doing is what's in the best interest of Republican voters. Donalds is endorsed by President Donald Trump, but notably not DeSantis. The showdown will be held at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino on Saturday, June 27th. To participate in a debate, candidates have to reach 10% in a poll of primary voters conducted by the party, raise at least $10 million, and amass more than 10,000 donors, Politico reports. DeSantis said the party's criteria would have meant he would not have qualified debates when he ran for governor in 2018. Collins said on social media Donalds was hiding behind the party. A spokesperson for Donalds brushed off the criticism. It is not Byron's job to legitimize campaigns that have failed to gain meaningful support, Gates McGaverick said to Politico. Fishback, who has called Donalds, who is black, a quote-unquote slave to his donors, was originally invited to speak at the event, but his invitation has since been rescinded. After conversations with numerous Republican leaders, grassroots activists, and stakeholders from across Florida, has become clear that entertaining Mr. Fishback's overtures to participate in official Republican Party activities was a mistake, said Evan Power, the chair of the state GOP, in a statement. Power also criticized Fishback, saying he has continued his anti-Semitic and racist attacks on members of our party. Fishback called the state's party a joke and said he would hold a rally the same night as the convention. Quote, I guarantee we'll have more people there than them, end quote, Fishback said to Politico. It's kind of interesting. I remember when Mr. DeSantis was running for president. Of course, he didn't make it very far. His campaigns were dead. I mean, his meetings in Georgia, I know, people were there reporting on them. I mean, it was sad. He couldn't get a room full. It'd be a room to hold a few hundred, and you had like 20 or 30 people show up. It was bad. He gained, he was trying to run up into, lower Georgia and gain some of that conservative support in upper Georgia. I forget what locations he was at, but it was pretty embarrassing. He could not get traction at all in Georgia and across the nation. He just doesn't track well. He's done really good as a governor. Be interested to see where he moves. If he has any movement, the president says he has begged him for a job. So we'll see. Not really sure where that'll be. Um, Kind of circle back and cover a little bit on the deal again, potential deal, and then we'll close down for tonight. We'll have sports later. President Donald Trump's agreement with Iran faces a critical hurdle after negotiation reached the highest levels of Iran's leadership, winning the backing of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which has yet to endorse the deal. According to Wall Street Journal. Now, they say it's a go, they say everything's good, but I'm telling you, there could always be a hiccup, and this could be the hiccup. The Guard, widely viewed as the most powerful institution in Iran, controlling military, intelligence, and economic assets, that could determine whether any agreement with Washington succeeds or fails. So we will see. Maybe as of this evening, maybe they have agreed. They said the Pakistan official said that it looked a go, that everybody has signed off. So we'll see. But I don't trust this group here. And I would think that the president probably hasn't either. But they've said that Iran has okayed the deal and the wording to end the war. But until it's signed, you have nothing. You just got talk. So we'll see where that Revolutionary Guard, if they raise their ugly head. And yes, it is ugly. Let's see. And yes, as we mentioned, the court rejects the Kennedy Center's bid to keep the Trump name. Today, the judge denied the request from the Kennedy Center to pause a ruling ordering President Donald Trump's name removed from the building. U.S. District Judge Christopher Cooper said the decision raises the prospect that Trump's name will be removed from the building. In his ruling last month, Cooper said only Congress could institute a change to the Kennedy Center's name and ordered that reference to Trump be removed by, yes, today. A spokesperson didn't immediately comment on the ruling. Workers were seen building scaffolding around a section of the building that includes Trump's name. So we'll see. They tried to stop it. They said no. I'm telling you what's going to happen. I'll book it down. The president is going to have a statue of some kind of himself on the Washington Mall. You know it's going to happen. The president is going to have a statue, and it'll be as he would say, the biggest, the best, ever has been, ever will be, glorious. It will be. He will have that before he leaves office. I'm telling you. He will codify that in. It will not be able to be removed, and I'm telling you it's coming. He is. I think he wants to be up there with something as well. It'd be bigger than the Lincoln Memorial. He wants something bigger than that. I'm telling you, he's marking territory right now, and I don't mean that literally, but he's marking territory. Not like the elephant. Not like the elephant. Hey, that's our news for now. I'll be back with Wolf Nation Sports. We'll talk some sports. Hey, World Cup's in the news. NBA Finals keying up again tomorrow night. Baseball. See if the Braves don't get rained out tonight. There is rain in the area. We thank you for watching. Thank you, Dusty, for popping in, and all of you in the different channels. Remember, we're a network. We're more than a podcast. We're a network of stations. Don't forget our contest. You see the Substack QR code on the screen. We have it through the month of June. On July 1st, we're going to draw 3 names of all those that do a free subscribe. You don't have to pay. There's a free one there. Don't just follow. You got to follow or subscribe, a free follow. I said again, a free subscription. If you do that in the month of June, your name will go into a drawing for a brand new Yeti mug, which I purchased with my own money some time ago with the intent. I wanted it, and I just never used it. It's got a nice color to it. Still wrapped, still sealed. Never opened it. So I decided to use it in the giveaway. First place will get that mug, a sample pack of the Wolf Nation coffee, which you see on the other side of the screen, which is excellento. We've been drinking the Cowboy Blend, the Mexico Blend, the Bali Blue, and the Breakfast Blend in the studio a lot lately. You'll get a sample pack that has a lot of those in it. In fact, I think all of those, and the 6-bean coffee. Oh, it's so good. You'll get that for free, and you'll get a year's paid subscription to our Substack, where some programming goes that doesn't go anywhere else. It's behind the paywall. And one of those is our new show. We have 3 up. We'll have the 3rd one tomorrow. Just How Big a Boy Are You? Those are getting more and more enjoyable as we go. And we do a TikTok live that's only seen on TikTok live while we're doing it. It also goes there. There'll be other shows and things coming. We will have 2 other names drawn. Second place will get the coffee and the year's paid subscription. Third place, the year's paid subscription to Substack. Substack's great. It's a great platform. It looks awesome. We like the platform as we like a lot of them. But get that if you don't, hey, you know what? You put your name in. If you never go back, you'll have your name put in. So anyway, I'm the Cornbread Man. And if you don't join us again tonight, don't forget in the morning at 7 a.m., the 1 hour extended version of First Light. 1 hour of First Light from 7 to 8. Then at 8:30 to 9:30 is the Cornbread Man and Biscuit Boy morning show. Always entertaining. And then from 10 to 11, we will record just how big a boy are you. It won't be seen. We'll record that. But you can see it if you go to Substack, become a paid subscriber. You may not want to be, but if you do, you'll see that show. We have lots going on. Not too much to tell you right now. We're working on a lot of fronts. We got a lot of things going on. New platforms that we're going to be on soon. We're working out the details now. And we appreciate all the interest in what we're doing here. Racing series and all the different ones that we have. We have an interview on Tuesday with First Steps, a Christian ministry here in Northwest Georgia. It's going to be in studio, I believe, 6 p.m. on Tuesday. We're looking forward to that. Also on Tuesday, we will give you election rundown across whatever states are having them on Tuesday. And I'm going to go vote Tuesday morning myself. And then we'll just be full steam towards the midterms. Oh my goodness. Will the calls and texts and emails stop? It is intense right now. They're spending a lot of money in my area. All right, we'll see you soon. Take care. God bless. Pray for the country. The country certainly needs it. And we pray today that you are good. A lot of people still struggling. Losses of people in their life, financially, their health. Just pray for people. People appreciate your prayers. And I certainly appreciate them. Pray for me and my family as we're just barely over 6 weeks of the loss of my wife. And we appreciate you. God bless.
Stories coming fast and strong. From the map to your front door, what matters most, we bring you more. Stay with us, stay in the loop. Straight talk, clear view, one place for the story, one voice for the truth. Patriot Nation News, PNN, we bring it through. Patriot Nation News, what you need right now for you. Patriot Nation News, hear it loud, clean and true. PNN, PNN, Patriot Nation News. Voices rise, the facts roll in. Every angle, every win. City halls and highway miles. Real lives, real news, real time. Stay with us, stay in the loop. Straight talk, clear view, one place for the story, one voice for the truth. Patriot Nation News, PNN, we bring it through. Patriot Nation News, what you need right now for you. Patriot Nation News, hear it loud, clean and true. PNN, PNN, Patriot Nation News.